All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It took us a minute to get online. I don't know what the heck was wrong with the internet, but it worked out. Tried to do it several times, and it finally started working. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'll give it a few minutes for everybody to get in. Today is Monday, and today I go home. I get to leave this place. I have a few errands to run. I have to make some phone calls. And once I run those errands, I have to go have a meeting with the lawyers and I'll be on my way to the airport. And I'll go on the next leg of my journey. Um, it's a surreal moment. I wanted to make sure that I documented everything in real time as it was happening. I actually was able to get a little bit of rest yesterday. And first and foremost, I want to say to the universe how grateful I am for this moment of charity. I have some clothing that I'm going to leave behind. I have a friend that could probably use some of the things. Like I have like, I think I have like two Nike hoodies, and there's a few shirts I'm going to leave behind. I'm trying to think like what else. Pretty much, I think that's what I can give away. I think I have a button-down shirt I could leave behind as well. But you know, my perspective in life is different. I took a really big moment yesterday to reflect on everything. I wrote a journal, wrote a business plan, um, just to kind of strategize what I was gonna do, how I was gonna do it, and this is part of the process. This same content that I'm gonna create right now when I'm on my journey, these are going to be my reflection points because I want to encapsulate this entire experience. I have learned the hard way that, you know, this system here, how things are arranged, is excellent for this market. I think that what I desire to do is much greater than this market, but I learned a lot from the most basic things to the most complex things. For example, when you go to the clubs here, it's a little bit different because the clubs here are very brightly lit because the public wants to be seen. Versus you go overseas, clubs are mostly dim. There's a little mystery, a little sarcasm and things. And that's just one of the many observations. Here in this culture, there's no middle class. You're either poor or you're above middle class. Some are rich, some are wealthy, but that's a very small portion. Most people are decent, like either they're really struggling or they're decent. You know what I mean? There's no like middle balance. The people that are decent are right above middle class. The people that are struggling are just any variable from zero to a little bit. You know what I mean? Then the people that are wealthy, you don't see them. The people that are rich, you see them sporadically. And I think those are the things that people enjoy, right? Like those are the things that people like. It's like in a sense, people here they want to be seen. You know what I mean? They want to be like, I guess, valued in the mix. They want to seem superior to the average person. And a lot of the times that can be exaggerated. You know, here I think it's over the top to even have a sports car, you know? And not only do you have sports cars here, you have high end sports cars. Hello, buenos días, Dios la bendiga. Bye, Chichi, pórtate bien. Bye, baby. Um, it's like it's things like that. You see, this is what has made this trip a success for me. All of the people that I was able to see and interact with, and just tell them God bless them. I think that's the best and most favorite part of my trip. Um, when I leave, I'm gonna be taking public transportation, and I'm gonna be basically opening an office, mobile and digital, at the airport because I'm gonna eat there before I board the airplane. I'm gonna make sure everything is charged, and that's it. Just move on to the next journey, the next phase of my life. Um, I have a lot of events in the United States, and then I got to go back out internationally. But this was a learning experience, definitely. Um, what can I say? Because I'm an artist and I have a complete performance. When I go to a new country, I have to interconnect with the public there, right? Here, I've been able to do that, but I realized that a lot of places overseas are going to be like this. Like a business doesn't have a website, they don't have a phone number, they have an Instagram. You're dependent on that Instagram following or that Instagram um, person or whoever's in charge. Just to give you like an example of what I learned here. But for me, this trip was part business and it was part personal. You know, this is my walk of fire. You know what I mean? This is my going to Jerusalem, going to Mecca. You know what I mean? Just to reflect again. This is my grandmother's house, my childhood home for many parts of my life, many years of my life, many memories. This molded and shaped a lot of my character. I got a lot of memories here. This house is demolished, it's run down, it's falling apart. These people have abused this opportunity. I have no idea how this even happened. I don't know what my uncle has decided to do, but I don't care for this place anymore. I think that the universe gave me the opportunity to finally say goodbye. When my uncle passes away, it won't take much for the bulldozers to destroy this whole property, and maybe a nice structure can be built upon it. It'll be up to my family. I don't really care about this. I feel that it's so painful to see it in this condition as it is. And then, like the abuse, the way that it was just, you know, like just abused, just like plundered, basically that's what it is. This house has been plundered. A lot of people had to agree to this, and nobody agreed to this. My uncle just did this, and I don't even want to know what agreements he had with this gentleman. I don't know if he owes this person money. Most likely that's what happened. And it's gonna be one of those things like my aunt in the villages. There was a situation where my grandfather left some lands, and people just started moving in, building houses on it. And my aunt tried to plead with everybody about everything, and they wouldn't understand. So my aunt came with bulldozers, and they got the picture. That's exactly what's gonna happen here. But I don't care. This has nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. I hope that a good resolution can be found. But I'm speaking of it from the emotional side of it. It's very painful to see this place like this. It really, really hurt me. From the last time I came, it's like more parts of the house were just taken over. You know what I mean? They took up like more of the rooms towards the back. They took up some of the real estate in the front and put like a storage. And, I had this plan. I said, if I had to stay for a little bit, I would open a barber shop in the back. That space was taken. And this place is just in ruins. Still has a little bit, you know, but it's gonna need a lot to be invested. And then again, it's a conflict of interest. I don't know what's really going on back here. The people that are left that are decision makers, they're not gonna care about this. I know my little brother wants to try to do something with this property. I guess he can. He should be able to do something with this property. But as far as like I'm concerned, it's just not worth it. We even lost real estate in the back when they built the high rise. They moved into the property on the sides. It's just like whatever. But this vlog is not about the property or the plundering or the abuse or the fucking negativity, right? This is about my personal journey as a human being, as an artist, as an entrepreneur. You know, for me, it's time to move forward. It's time to move on. I'm very grateful, very appreciative for everything. You know, I just, I just thank God for this moment of clarity, this opportunity. You know what I mean? Um, very humbling. Gotta be careful with my voice. Hopefully, I could get a little bit of coffee whenever everybody wakes up, and just kind of go from there. You know what I mean? Kind of build from there and keep it simple. Just kind of go from there. It's one of my cousins across the street. I haven't seen the family. My aunt, my uncles are not there. I haven't been there the days that I've been there. Um, it's it's a cold feeling knowing that my family is segregated like that. That I have to think twice. Like part of me wants to go over there and just give them a hug. A part of me is sad that I'm probably gonna be shunned or turned away. And if I ask for his number, my family will look down upon it. If I ask about my aunt and my uncle and my other cousins, my family will look down upon it. Like a lot of things like that. Like it shouldn't be like that, but it is. And it's sad. I guess he just came back from wherever he was. See if we could use this little water container. See if this could help us a little bit, right? So, what can I say to the universe? I'm appreciative very painful, you know, but I enjoyed all of it. It was amazing to get my hopes up, to reach out to the people locally here to try to do business, for people to just turn their backs on me, thinking like that was gonna stop my career or my life and shit like that. Shit like that happens all the time. I just had a greater consideration for some of the people, and I still do. I don't blame nobody for the things that they've done and stuff like that. These people don't understand my journey, and it's cool because everybody's not gonna understand my journey. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not gonna get it. So that's the whole thing about it right there. I'm surprised nobody's here. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning here, and you know, what can I say? Very humbled, very grateful, very appreciative to the higher power, you know, to the spiritual being, you know what I mean? Like my soul is ready to move on. I've moved on. I've prayed over it. When it was my time to cry, I cried. When it was my time to reflect, I reflected. When it was my time to laugh, I laughed. When it was my time to feel sadness, I felt sadness. There were times that I felt alone. There were times that I felt caved in. I knew last night that it would be my last night sleeping in my room, even though I have to go through this process with my lawyers and stuff like that. But once I do that, I'll be in the airport. And it doesn't matter if I have to be there for a few days, which most likely will be what's going to happen because I need to fly to multiple parts of the world. So I have to get all the logistics ready and kind of go from there. You know what I mean? Just kind of build from there. So it's one of those things, you know, like I don't know exactly what to say. I just know what I need to do is exactly what I'm doing. You know, I'm just moving on and moving forward with my life. You know, just simple as that. Like, this is what God has wanted. As a matter of fact, you know, something I just realized that high rise was being built when I came last year, and now it's almost completed. It still looks empty, you know, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You know, it's things like that. Buenos días. No tengo la llave, déjame buscarla. Let me go get the keys real quick. Porque ella te estaba esperando mucho rato. Sí, pues yo dije que venía con yo yo me sentía mal, yo digo que tú te ibas a ver tu familia. Y me iba a ver los hijos míos, no iba a ir una tarde ya. Ah, ok. So, y yo esperé con ella hasta que ella se fue. Y no me llamaron, pero yo no vine. Oh, ok. No, Luisa. Ya los criminales van. Ya el monstruo, man. ¿Dónde están? Ajá, se la dio. Flaco. Está cortado. ¿Cómo, flaco? Sé que tienes otro amor, pero yo no te encuentro mejor. No. I apologize for that. We had to I had to open the gate. I didn't have the key, and the guys are starting to come in. And my uncle's sleeping, so I didn't want to wake him up. But one of the other workers went back there, so I sent the key back. So yeah, pretty much that's it. You know, just ready to move on. It looks like it's gonna rain for today, but you know, just ready to move on with everything. You know, and nothing else. You know, so I pray everything comes out the way it's supposed to be. I have to wait for a few phone calls before I depart. But you know, one thing Jim Rohn says in one of his talks is how he enjoys the whole experience, right? To be moved. So I was betrayed, dishonored, I was befriended, I was abandoned, I was left to my own thoughts, you know. I did more of a marketing campaign than I could have thought about. I reached out to a lot of influencers and I offered everybody a concert for free. I connected with a lot of people. My algorithm was on fire as far as everything else that I was doing, right? And I reflected, which was the most important thing, you know. My family's on vacation and they have no idea everything that I've witnessed and experienced throughout the process. And, you know, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's the best way that I can describe it. So now, little by little, I'm going to go and gather my things and get ready for the next part of my journey. Um, a lot of it was sleeping in my room, the place where I had to use my imagination, right? I remember how everything was before everything changed, you know, as a kid, right? Then, where I prayed in the backyard, I was able to pray. I prayed this morning, so it was probably the last time that I will pray there. You have to take into accountability Murphy's Law, right? That I may be delayed, but overall, you know, like everything is everything. Everything is in place. Like I know that at least I can go see the lawyers, run to the bank, and head to the airport. From there, everything is in God's hands. And I'm going to have to start, I guess, calling in a few favors because I'm going to have to do some like wire transfers and stuff like that. And It's gonna take a few hours to do that internationally, but once I take off from here, I'll land at the private airport. Well, I'll land at the international airport, and then from there, I'll be transported to the private airport where I'll fill my jets and I'll go. You know, I learned a valuable lesson. You know what I mean? So it's just basic things. You know what I mean? But by the grace of God, once I fly, commercially, I can get to the private joints and fly into my property. You know what I mean? Which I'm even grateful for that. I'm even appreciative for that. And it's an amazing thing. Like I said, it's very humbling, very down to earth. Person. Very humbling, very like down to earth, very like it's just one of those things like, you know, kind of give you guys a little 360 here. Let me see if I can move this chair. I don't know if they're gonna use it real quick. Let's move this out of the way so I'm not too much in their way. But I think there, you know what? There might be a car that is gonna park here. But you know, just being able to have this moment. So I just wanna thank the universe for this moment. You know, and it's raining, so we're gonna make our way back to the other side. So let's go, so that we're not damaging the equipment. But I guess we could continue here. Turn the light on a little bit. This is my room. Well, the digital version of it. I guess this is why I'm here. Look at this. This was my room growing up as a kid. Give you guys a tour, right? So they made this door that wasn't there. Here used to be a door. I don't know if you could tell. And that was put in. There was another room on that side. And just look at the condition of everything. Show you the floor, the bottom. Everything is just in ruins, you know what I mean? See, this is it. So grew up here as a kid. I developed here. It's very, very humbling. I've slept here for the last 2 or 3 days. You know, prayed in the backyard where you guys have seen a lot of the content. And that's it. This is what God has given me. So rule number one is we only use what God has given us. So I have some of the sweaters here I'm gonna give away. And I'll never come back to this place ever again. That shirt, I performed 100,000 people here last year. That's why I worry when I traveled here. I basically I had ventured here, right? I went through 5 different countries to get here, and I wore it every single day during my journey. It took me like around 3 4 days to get here, and I think I'm ready to leave it behind. I'm ready to move on with this part of this phase of my life. I wish I could show you the walkway there. but they're already open for business, so they're gonna be going back and forth. But everything is isolated. Everything is like the only thing that's left here is really one more room, a little part of the kitchen, and that's it. This was my grandparents' dream home. This was making it big, moving from the campo, right, to the big city, to the new dream. It's all over. It's all over. So I'm grateful that I had this opportunity to say goodbye, that I was able to have all of these thoughts and emotions flowing through me, and to be able to kind of connect and share that with everybody. Don't worry, when I get back, we'll be able to talk about the stock market. We'll be able to talk about business and stuff like that. But I'm just appreciative, very humbled, very thankful for all of it, the pain, the suffering, the anguish, what I learned. You know, at the end of the day, God didn't owe me this moment, and He still gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still appreciative. I'm still grateful. I've worn pretty much the same shorts. I've changed my shirts, same pants. So it's either my shorts or my regular workout pants. And never had a need to put my sneakers on. So I've been using my chanclas. And I plan to travel with them as well. But it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. So there are many things that I'm going to reflect on for the rest of my life. I remember every shadow, every light cast by the sun. Every shadow was like symbolic, you know what I mean? Buenos días. Bendición. Dios lo bendiga. Like I appreciate everything. Everything in this house was like a sundial. And the sun hits this house perfectly like a pyramid. And every part of the house has a shape to it, right? So when the sun hits it, it kind of gives you directions and instructions, right? And I always follow the stars and stuff like that. So I always use this as like not only my compass, but like my astrological and spiritual compass. You know what I mean? So like I would look in the stars and then like do a little bit of research and stuff like that, see what it means. Then anywhere I traveled in the world, I could see the differences like in different parts of the world. So like I already have my coordinates. I know exactly where I'm going, which is something that God didn't have to give me, you know? God didn't have to give me these moments. So it's an amazing thing, man. It is truly an amazing thing. So I just want the universe to know, you know, I want the universe to know how appreciative I am for this entire experience. There were moments where I was like, especially doing the music stuff, the whole thing was part of it was this competition, you know, a very small part of it, but I wanted to connect with the people, I guess there's no other way for me to get my music out to them at the moment. So, you know, that's what it is. And just like the attempt or the approach of, trying to get a performance going and stuff like that. And, you know, it's many things, it's a lot of things. I don't even know where to start. Checking my messages. I hit up so many people. I did so many things in the process. And, you know, waiting for the response, waiting for the reaction, you know, just going through that moment, just not knowing, right? Not fully understanding. And, you know, what can I say? You know, just all the things like even through that desperation, right, and not knowing what was going to happen, how it was going to happen. I connected with some very powerful people, and you know, a lot of powerful people hit me up. So it's like everything is a balance, right? So I'm here, and the people here don't really understand what I'm doing, but I'm reaching out to everybody. Meanwhile, I'm connecting with people internationally, and they're like, "Yo, what's up?" So I don't want to make the country look bad, right? So I'm like, you know, everything's good. It's not perfect. This was a strategic trip, and that's it. Moving on. I got much better at Instagram. I'll tell you that much. I got really, really good at this. I want to go to my thing. I think I added whatchamacallit. I'm gonna add one more follower, and this will be my last one. So who's gonna be the lucky person? Got her. She's fucking gorgeous. She's a knockout. She is a real knockout. Oh, look who my shorty brung me. Damn. Amazing. Ah. Mhm. Mhm. This is amazing. Let me go to my thing right here. I have exactly 1,200 people that I'm following. So that's it. I will move on and close this chapter, and I'll wait. I'll wait until I continue to build. But it's like an oxymoron, man. It's a paradox. Like, why all these powerful people throughout the worst moment just happen to connect with me, hit me up, and you know, kind of go from there. You know what I mean? It was an amazing thing. Also, something very, very mean was done to me. Right? They put me as part of this group, only for me to be attacked. Eventually, the mastermind plot unfolded. This is while I was here. It took like a few days for them to do it. I was sharing a lot of my knowledge about the business, and lo and behold, this forum was created just to attack me. They did, took me out of the group. I still made some really good friends, met some good people, some new people. And that was it. You know, life goes on. I continue to do business regularly. And I reflected on it. I'm like, man, I hope that the people within that group realize what was done. And those that are wise are going to understand that everybody in that group is being taken advantage of. They're going along for a ride. And when they're no longer useful, they're also going to be attacked. They're also going to go through that, right? So, do you want to do business with somebody like that? Probably not. But this really happened. It really happened. I took note of it. I learned from it. It happened before, but it took longer to manifest. And the right thing to do is to reflect on it. When I came the first time, I was building a team, right? Building a group. I hired all these people out of good faith. When I got here, they felt Hollywood, right? So they used the Hollywood card. Everybody was important. In less than a year, actually within a few months, they lost those positions. Corporate America showed them like you are easily replaced, right? And they carried that chip on their shoulder. It showed in a lot of things. I should have been more careful and weary, but I didn't want to choose sides because they had disagreements with other of my friends also in the music business. And now it's clear what actually happened. And in that project, there was a person that entire project was created around, and the main person in conflict, thinking that that was the thing to do, um, basically that person is the reason why the project fell apart. So everybody else has moved on and in different ways, right? And you see like the people that were left behind, like you see the person that was behind. And I'm not surprised because all the red flags are there, right? Like even what happened now, like this opportunity, it would have been great for everything that they had going on, which is why I wanted to contribute to the forum, right? But at the end of the day, what can you do? I have 3 business meetings today. I did that here, going through my walk of fire, right? All these other people reached out to me. I'm trying to make these people here not look bad, but I won't be doing business with these people. And the 3 offers that I'm going to get today, I'm probably going to turn down, which I already know that, depending on anything can happen. I check the emails. Maybe, we can negotiate something different at a different time. But as of right now, I'm just not interested. I feel that I have more money than that on the table. So I'm grateful. And the same way that I was able to secure these meetings in just a few days that I've been here, I was going to try to mentor them and kind of share with them how it's done. But they really don't have the catalog. They really don't have a lot of the things that you need. I just wanted to teach them once they prepared themselves how they could do it. And it's pointless. It's that's just not in their foreseeable future if they're conducting business that way. So as time passes, just like for example, when I came last year, right? This project was going, everything was good. I came, everything fell apart. A few months later, what they thought they had fell apart. So it's like I reached out to them, showing them mercy because the whole industry was attacking them. But they don't realize it. They think it's just me against the labels and me against this and me against that, which is nuts. It's just different. You know what I mean? And now I clearly can see why those opportunities are not even available to them. And every time that God gave them like an opportunity to like, excel, they destroyed it themselves because there were more powerful people that they worked with that when the project fell apart, they went to the public, spoke bad about these people, and created their brand around the gossip and stuff like that, which impacted some of the things I was negotiating. And even still, I was still able to penetrate and close the deals that I had to close, right? So now, what is the reflection? I tell people that I'm a God fearing man, that I'm Jewish, that everything I do is with a spiritual compass and morally sound. And that has been the secret to my success. And I broke it down to them. No matter how many doors they try to close, look how many doors open. I've been in communication with Miss D, Miss Deborah, Waka Flocka Flame's mother. That's just one person. Promo God. I've been in communication with Promo God. These are titans in the industry. Not giants, they're titans. Miss D is a titan. And of course, she's upset because now we have 2 different data points, 2 different reference points to understand that that's why she's very reserved when it comes to this project. And all these people here have no idea. They don't understand all these negotiations happened in the last 72 hours. It may not have seemed that way. It may not have whatever, but real business is not what people see on television. So all those relationships that I've been able to nourish are what is going to be important for the future because my brand and everything that I do, the way that I do it, is a long-term investment. This is not something that's to be done, overnight and stuff like that. So it's one of those things, and again, I'm appreciative. It's symbolic that, you know, I get to Capture this moment for all eternity. Capture that shirt. I may take it with me, I may leave with it. I don't know. I'm still debating. My grandfather bought me that shirt. Very grateful, very appreciative. But what advice can I give to you guys, right? Be very careful who you associate with. Be very careful who you try to do business with. Vet every person and every company. And if you are turned off by anything in that person's character, don't do business with them. There were a lot of situations where I felt like this person was like over the top or crossing boundaries and again disrespecting people that are mega popular, mega powerful, mega influence in the genre here, at least in this demographic, this market. And I finally can see why they have like a portal here, like a gate, because Central America is right there. And that's the real secret. So people that are focused on this market, they don't even know. They have no idea. This is just like a pit stop. And that's why there are many places, but really there's not that many places in comparison to internationally. But had I not gone through this experience, I wouldn't have learned that. So I couldn't give you advice to just be careful. And I take pride in knowing that I give everybody a fair opportunity to earn my business, to do business with me, where I can bring in my business partners where we can make things happen. You know, first time I came, I brung both of my jets. This time I brung the small one and I left the other one overseas. You get what I'm saying? Like just to see how everything will pan out. And everything has panned out. Look at everything that I've learned. Look how much I've grown as a person. Look at everything I've negotiated just to be able to say, you know what, this is not something that I'm interested in. You know what I mean? And I think the first time hurt me more because I brought my bigger jet. And, you know, I really thought these people were business people. These people are not business people. They're more concerned with being in the limelight, which that's already a red flag. Because I'm a boss. I only speak boss. I don't speak worker. I don't speak fiend. You know what I mean? So I don't understand that language, right? So for them, they're more consumers than creators of opportunities. So it's like once you establish something, these people would just write the coattail. They're not builders. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to put things together. So they're not going to see an opportunity in the market and incorporate everything you need to be successful. They're going to wait for the cake to be made so that then they can ask for a piece of it. Because for them, it's easier to ask for a piece of the pie than to make their own pizza. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want a slice of pizza and I don't want a pizza. I want to own the Little Caesars. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's their mentality. And I could kind of understand a part of it. Maybe it's because the demographic people here don't really have the money to consume. But these people here are still valuable. You know, these people that have all these networks and all the social media, anything you put on the palette here is promoted ridiculously. And that's it. That's how it grows. That's exactly how it goes. You know what I mean? So it's been an amazing learning experience, but it comes down to the fundamental principles and core values. You have to vet every company, you have to vet every person. I agree, give everybody an opportunity. And if they don't meet you where you are in business, it's okay to move on respectfully. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I don't want to put anybody down, nothing like that. I'm not the type of person, but you know, it's still a valuable lesson because it reminds me of all the times during my career that things like that happen. Then, at the same token, the same way these people were treating these super powerful people, what can I expect of them? Really, they just proved it to me that that's who they really are. Like, that's who they really are. I know those people don't belong in my life. Same way, when I got into this business, I came into this business with a lot of childhood friends. We were kids, and the money did this: send, send me in one direction, send them in another direction, and you know, it's sad sometimes. It's disheartening, but it's not like you know, it's not like it's impossible, right? It's not like it doesn't happen every day. I don't know how old this pillow is, but I'm humble enough, right, to lay here proud. I don't know how old this bed is. I don't know how many years it's been here. I don't think this is one of the original beds. It doesn't feel like it is. But this is where the dream started, and it's over now. You know, this is where I learned to dream, have an imagination. You know what I mean? And it's time to move on. And I'm appreciative that I get to share this. Remember, this is all designed to be painful and hurtful and whatever. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I have a new, invigorating perspective on life, very much sharpened and refreshing. And that can only come from God. I can only be grateful and appreciative. Most artists have this belief, right, that YouTube is this and YouTube is that. YouTube is one of the only things that I have that are mine, that I will always have. I could win the lottery tomorrow, I have a few $1 billion, right? And this will still be my outlet to use as my vlog and to use as my whatever. Because for me, it's about like documenting this for my great, great, great grandkids a trillion years from now. You know, I believe that the deceiver tried to use this situation to hurt me. And all it did, by the grace of God, was make me stronger because I passed the test. I was able to walk these streets here with one Dominican peso and turn down several hundred millions of dollars because I don't need them. So in the end, God wins, motherfuckers. I'm Team God all the way. I've been able to pray. I got this prayer pamphlet from one of the churches around here. My church has been destroyed, but there are a few people kind of like preaching at home and at the parks, public places, and they don't have that much money, but they can print up like Bible scriptures and messages for other people, and they print them in these little pieces of paper and they hand them out, and that's how they preach in their ministry. you know and I'm grateful that I was able to not be brokenhearted that the church is gone, but be happy that I still received the blessing. I still got the message. What is that message? This is day one. This is the beginning. This is not the end. My story is just getting started. You know, Very, very humbling. While the deceiver was trying to use this to destroy me, God was using it to build me up and build me stronger. Every day I woke up earlier. I prayed earlier, you know, made more things happen. Every day I created content. Every day I reflected. Every day I was able to like look back at every single moment. And this is where it all started. And this is where it all ended because this will never be a part of my life. And God was so amazing that God gave me the chance to digitize it and freeze this moment in an NFT of time. You know, this place was more special to me than I realized. I think it was the subconscious mind, but also spiritually, I needed to have this closure. I needed to go through this moment. Even the local celebrities here, the local artists, people in the industry, they cannot believe that I would put this on camera, that I would put this in my vlog, that I would, you know, make this what it is. Because remember, this is all designed to hurt me. And all it did was bless me. All it did was make me stronger. I know more and more what my true destiny is every day, the real path that I'm walking. I'm able to see everything clearly, efficiently, assertively, you know, with a clear and neutral perspective, using my spiritual compass. And I already, disclosed anything can happen. But no matter what happens, I'm grateful because God didn't have to give me this much in this life, in this lifetime. My music lives forever. Nothing can change that, stop that, hurt that, damage that, none of that. I was always a humble giant. I can always come down to people's level. The advice that I gave those artists and things like that, they will remember for the rest of their lives. They will keep that in their archives, right? And say, wow, this person really came down from the heavens and spoke to me like a regular person. I am that I am, right? Dreams come true, right? Anything is possible, right? They even doubted Jesus, right? You know, it's an amazing thing. But overall, I want the universe to know how grateful I am, how appreciative I am. Look at all the things I was able to do with so little, with nothing, with just my faith in God. And I like to show this so that when people see me on stage, they understand the person, like the man behind the music. You know what I mean? And not afraid, just grateful, just thankful to have this moment of clarity, this moment of reflection, this moment of, you know, designing the path forward for my life. You know, I have some investments in Hawaii that I always prioritized over many other places. I thought about this demographic, but now I realize things that God wanted me to see so that I don't have to be afraid of fully committing or fully engaging to those investments overseas because I'm not interested in investing here. There's no quality of life for me here for what I'm trying to do. And before I made that decision, and it, it's not only my decision, but before we as a collective made the decision to make the investment, these were things that had to be taken into consideration. And everything has changed. Everything has changed. You know, I have some new business partners now. Things are a little bit different. So it still takes time to kind of adjust to everybody's style of doing business. For me, I'm a religious person, so I just look at things from a religious standpoint. And I take pride in that because everybody doesn't. And that's okay because the market needs people that don't think that way as well, in all fairness. You know what I mean? So this is where my gratitude stems from. I'm appreciative because I already claimed the victory. I already won. You know, Jesus died on the cross for me, so purified head to toe forever. All I could do is my best to help as many of God's people as I can. And, you know, even that was like a learning experience because how do you do that? You know, again, like the same way that I have my foundation, I have my churches and my charities. There are people that claim to have the same, but only when they're asking for assistance. Now, when it comes to putting in work, you know, you look at the people from like the Nation of Islam, they put in the fucking work. That shit is the real deal. Shout out to Minister Farrakhan. That's just to give you an example. Not too many organizations are the same. You know what I mean? Like, I had an issue, which is in my books, a lesson that I had to learn in life. At one point, I had business partners that were very religious in church, very religious on Sunday, but in business were ruthless. And I learned the hard way because that investment went straight to the trash. No matter what happened, no matter what was done, it just all went to the trash. That's it. That's what happened. It all went to the trash. So now looking back in retrospective, right? What could you expect? There was no way it was going to flourish. So I learned all of these things to prepare me because moving forward, you still have to give people an opportunity. And it's unfair for me to be closed off from the world and say, yo, I'm not going to give people an opportunity. My circle is very small, but it's full of a lot of love. And that's it. I feel that I have conveyed everything I wanted to convey for this moment, for this interval, for this opportunity. Gratitude is the overwhelming accomplishment, the overwhelming feeling that I have is appreciation for everything in the journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, the valleys, the peaks, the challenging times, the challenging moments, the moments where you um like are creative with your execution of things, This room is a computer. This room is a time machine. This is like a time capsule. This room is what you need to plot your coordinates through the universe. I can be inspired by every single corner, every crevice, every piece of the paint that's dirty or chipping away, everything that's broken, everything that's fallen apart. I'm inspired by all of it. And I still see the beauty. That beauty is powered by all the good memories that I had here as a kid. I think the loneliness came from me having to live here without my parents, me not wanting to sleep by myself. In the beginning, it was me and my brother, and it was hard to sleep without my parents, just me and my brother. And then my family, relatives, took my brother away, and I was here by myself, alone. Never a priority, always put to the side. But this was my sanctuary. When my cousin used to wake up in the morning to go to school, I would go sit in the bathroom, in the shower, and just wait for her to shower and talk to her every day. It was not only the maternal instinct, because it was my companionship, like I didn't want to feel alone, but it was also me being the protector. And it was something basic, like I did it every morning. I never thought about it, but that's what it was. Very soon, she grew up and she left. My brother left. My little cousin stayed, and eventually he left as well. And eventually I left. For the first time in my life, you know, I got on the phone and I told my parents I didn't want to be here and to send for me. And they did. I guess whatever bonuses my dad made during Christmas was the extra money that they used to send me overseas. I remember my burgundy coat with the wool, lamb wood, you know, I guess stuffing. I don't know what you call that, insulation. And leaving everything that I knew up until that point, which at that time it was only Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. Then life changed, you know. I was with my parents, my little brother was born, and after my little brother's first birthday, they divorced. Nothing was the same. God gave me the opportunity to document these coordinates of the universe and be able to look at them and memorize them. You know, it's an amazing thing. Of course, I'm a time traveler confirmed. This is my time machine. It's old. It was built like the pyramid to last, right? I guess it's the best that I could do as a kid. But I've used this time machine to build my new time machine. And it's much better, much nicer looking, right? Much more compact. And that's it. So this is goodbye to a very special place in my heart that will come with me wherever I go in the universe. But if there's anything I could say to God, you guys are my witness, is thank you for this amazing opportunity. Thank you for this journey. Thank you for this adventure. Thank you for the good people. Thank you for the bad people. Thank you for the good moments. Thank you for the bad moments. Thank you for the tears and thank you for the joy. Thank you for the sunshine and thank you for the rain. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the pain. Thank you for the wisdom and the understanding and the clarity and the discipline and the experience. Thank you for all those tough moments where you were just cutting and polishing the diamond. I am eternally grateful. Someday, a trillion years from now, my grandkids will be able to see this and say, yo, my great grandfather was the fucking man. It's a beautiful day. See you on the next one. I love all of you eternally. It's a beautiful day, yeah. It's a beautiful day. Oh, yeah. See you on the next one, rookies.